I'm Dewan Johnson. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast, where I share with you different kinds of talks and coachings and conversations with actors and industry professionals on thinking bigger. I hope these conversations will help you on your path to success, because I believe success is an inside job that starts with your mindset and the thoughts you hold dominant in your mind. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Your path to thinking bigger begins now. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Actors podcast. I'm your host, Dewan Johnson. What's up? I'm so happy you're back. Listening to this. I was in Walmart the other day, and this young man came up to me and he was like, "Dewan, I just wanted to say hi and let you know that I love your podcast." And I was so happy. He did that because I sometimes I feel like I create this in isolation, right? And so I'm in my office, my home office, and if I'm not on a Zoom with somebody, and it's like some of those sessions that are just me talking, I don't know. I don't know if you like them, if you don't, or whatever. I just kind of do it for myself sometimes. And so just to hear people stopping me and doing that. And Colleen, I see you who texted me and was like, "I really like the last episode." All this stuff means the world, because I actually genuinely love podcasting. I do. I listen to podcasts, mostly Game of Thrones podcasts. I am a nerd, you all. That is very, very true. But I actually just listen to podcasts a lot, whether it's on parenting or CPTSD or just any of those things, ADHD, all those things that I have. I just like to make sure that I'm listening to what other people are doing, because it helps me have a barometer. So thank you so much for shouting, stopping and shouting me out. Today on the pod we have Pam Carbonero. You're going to learn all about Pam. She's super fantastic, and we're going to talk about her workshop. We're going to talk about the well, I want to say it's an empire she's building out there, but she would be like, it's getting there. No, you're doing amazing stuff, changing lives for directors, for actors and writers, and in our industry. So we're going to talk a little bit about her in just a second. And she's on my mind because this weekend we had a vertical workshop. We had a workshop where I was a director and I shot verticals. And one of the things that I got to see was there's a lot of actors still who are out there like, "I'm not doing verticals. Verticals are like trashy and all stuff like that." Here's the thing about that is I understand that. I absolutely understand. We don't want to do, crappy work or stuff like that. But here is the thing. Verticals are evolving. Verticals are a $1 billion industry. They really billion, not million. I said it with a B, as in boy, as in black, as in bay. I don't know, like one of those, it's $1 billion empire. And so I liken it to when streaming started and people were like, "I don't want to do that web series." Back when we were in 2014, when Bosch, I think we did the pilot in Bosch in 2014. When we did that, that was the conversation that was happening around that. I don't want to do that web series or those things that were out there and doing that. And now look, they're the biggest things in our industry: Apple TV, Netflix, Prime Video. And we can go on and on. Tubi, it's just so. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, if you're out there and you're thinking, "I'm not going to do a vertical," I think you're going to do a vertical. So might as well get in on this now instead of waiting. And so to prepare for this vertical that I was going to shoot, I started watching a lot of verticals. And yes, some of them are cheesy, like the Alpha King werewolf rejected me, or the vampire beast. I get it. It is exactly what the title says. That's what you're getting. You know what I mean? And so I get all that stuff, but also, here's what I will say. I did watch some really good ones. I watched Issa Rae's Screen Time, and I watched Tay Diggs has one out there right now. And so I'm like, what are we doing? This is going to be one of those things that you are going to be boxed out of. You are going to be left behind because you didn't get in on this. And you're listening to maybe another coach. You're listening to another teacher out there, another person out there that's saying, "Don't do it. Go out there and audition for it." Go out there and audition for it now. I will say that during this vertical workshop, we had a vertical director come in who directs them. He's on his 20th vertical that he shot. And pull up a chair, because I want to tell you this. I recorded a little interview with him, he and I, and the sound wasn't there or something wasn't there, so I can't use it. But I will tell you one of the biggest things that I thought he said that I want to pass on to you. So if you are doing a vertical, and I'll have him back on, I'm going to try to get Matt back on. But one of the things he was talking about with auditioning is that send 2 takes. One, like, great, do your acting, what you feel is your best acting, your best performance, and then do one that feels like you go for it, like go all out. And if you think you're going all out, you might can go a little bit further in that. And I thought that was kind of cool that like he was giving those tips on verticals. And it just seems like it's something that's fun. We did this with soap operas too, by the way. And I'll tell you, after being on a soap opera, I have so much respect for anybody on a soap. Like what they're doing, the pages they're getting through in a day, they're shooting like a movie a day. Get out of here. We could all be so lucky to do this at that level at our craft. I really, really, really want to say that. So verticals are here. And yeah, I did put my hat in the ring for that, and I can't wait to see how it looks. I'm loving directing, guys. I'm loving directing. It's been a lot of fun with that. So we're going to talk about a little bit about that workshop. Speaking of, I have a workshop coming up that's going to be online. That's going to be just for actors. This is all for actors. It's called The Difference Is You, and here's the thing: you can go to. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be my, I'll put it under this podcast. It's out there right now. It's literally one of those things we need right now about mindset, about your branding, about your type, your essence. Getting unstuck, and of course self tapes. And it's really, really, really good. And so, if you need a little jolt in there, and I'm going to just say this to you, like I realized that saying, that saying is stay ready and you won't have to get ready. Like I kind of get tired of it, right? Like it's like stay ready, you want to get. I've been ready. I talked about that before. I've been ready, but I really understood it these last couple of weeks that I've been auditioning. Because I have, I stopped auditioning a little bit there because it was like dry spell for the beginning of the year. And then it came back and I thought to myself, wow, I'm really rusty. I'm really rusty in the sense of like memorizing lines or, using a teleprompter, even if you use a teleprompter. I got a course on that too, guys. And so even if you're doing that, you gotta stay up on it. You really, 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 really do. And so the stay ready and you won't have to get ready meant a little bit more to me because I think I was thinking about it from the business side always. Like I got my materials, I got my reel, I got my headshot, I got my stuff already ready. And then I would start it like what else? My agent, my manager, they have my acting thing. I'm networking when I can. So what else could it mean? It could, and I really think it just means you, yourself, staying ready. Memorization is a muscle. When we're auditioning, that is a muscle. And heaven forbid you all, because we're just doing self-tapes right now. When I got an in-person audition, well, we'll say virtual. It's virtual, but it was in-person because, they popped up on the screen. That was a little bit jarring for me. And by the way, I come from in-the-room auditions. This isn't like all of a sudden I started with self-tapes. There's a lot of listeners out there who have never been into a room, so this is self-tapes, all they know. But you're going to have to do it when you get up for, bigger roles. They want to see you at the callbacks or they want to see you at the virtual audition. So I think you should really lean into that skill here. And we're going to do this a lot of that. We're going to talk a lot about that and The Difference Is You. And I'm just going to share a win because I'm lame like that. And I want to share a win of mine that I had. I got to audition for this Christmas movie. Listen, I want to book a Christmas movie. I think it's like one of my bucket list things in the acting world to do a Christmas movie, like a Hallmark or a Lifetime, whatever, like one of those things. I really, really want to do it. So this isn't about that part. But what it is they give you the breakdown. So if you haven't seen a breakdown yet, that's like the breakdown of the character. And this character was, I'm just going to just make a name up so, I don't give anything away. This character was Police Officer Michael. Police Officer Michael. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's say that. But when they said Police Officer Michael in the breakdown, it said recognizable names preferred. And then I stopped for a second and I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to get this. Recognizable names preferred. And then I stopped dead in my tracks and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm a recognizable name. I'm a lead. It's like one of those moments where you stop and you're like, oh, like that's a real big win for me. Like to be now thinking that I am a recognizable name. So, and I'm really, really, really saying that to, yes, it's a win for me, but it's also a win for anybody out there that is thinking about, coming to Los Angeles or New York or just like, pursuing acting. I didn't know anybody, y'all. I didn't know anybody in the industry. I didn't have, what do you call it? A parent or anything like that inside of the industry. When I got out here, this has all been me putting my foot down in Los Angeles and putting my head down and really, really, really making it happen. So I just want to really say that, like, I think it can happen. It might not happen in the timetable you want it to happen, but it can happen. And so I don't know. I think you guys should wait a minute. Maybe I will do the podcast over when I say, hey, I'm your host, Dewan Johnson. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast. I am also a recognizable name preferred. That's what I'm going to, that's going to be the new thing. That's going to be the new thing. I'm going to say recognizable name, Dewan Johnson. Oh, want to do it? I think it's super, super fun. I think that's enough. Let's get into like talking about it. I want to give you this last little thing that we were in a mentor session for my membership, my First Team Collective. And, I was talking to a lot of the actors in there feeling a little bit like, gosh, we're not auditioning. How do I keep my spirits up? How do I, not feel like a failure right now? Like different questions are coming up right in that world. And I just want to like, just say to everybody, share my thoughts about this really wide. And there's a piece of advice I got early in my career that stayed with me ever since. And it's, don't get your self-worth wrapped up in this business. And I'm going to say it one more time, don't get your self-worth wrapped up in this business. And I know that's easy to say. It's much harder to live that, but like, especially right now when there's like nothing going on and, a lot's going on, but like it's not a lot compared to like the hundreds of pilots we used to get every year. I get that. The industry feels slow and there's not a lot of auditions, and we can be honest and say there are not a lot of productions going on at the moment. And so you start wondering if you are doing something wrong, simply because you're not auditioning, simply because of that you're not booking right now in this time. And I just want to remind you of this, because I have to keep reminding myself over and over again, your self-worth is not measured by an audition or a booking. It's just not. Just like I had to tell myself when I talk to you guys, my self-worth is not measured by if my show getting canceled, or your role made it on the cutting room floor, or your phone hasn't rung in a couple weeks. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your self-worth is not dependent on that, and you will go so much further if you really internalize that. I understand that we are the product. I understand that our faces are, the headshots, or, and when we go in there to audition, it is us, feels like us that they are rejecting it when we don't get it. But it just probably feels like it's impossible to kind of separate from who you are for what happens in our careers. But you have to. You have to. Because if every callback makes you feel worthy, then every rejection will convince you that you're not. You want me to say that again? If every callback makes you feel worthy, if every booking makes you feel worthy, every rejection, every no will convince you you're not. And you can't let this industry have that much power. You just can't. So I'm going to ask you to keep showing up and doing your thing, but just remember, you cannot get your self-worth wrapped up in this business. You just can't. And on that note, I'm going to just get us over to the good stuff. Wait a minute, this is the good stuff, Dewan. That was me talking to myself. I don't know why I did that. All right, I'll be right back with Pam. Today's episode is brought to you by Casting Networks. Casting Networks helps performers find great roles and industry professionals find great talent. You can create a profile, upload your photos and reels, find an agent, and submit to thousands of projects. Your next role could be just a few clicks away. So for a limited time, Casting Networks is offering our listeners $65 off a premium annual membership when you use the code ThinkBigger at checkout. You can start submitting to casting calls right away. Terms and conditions apply. So visit www.castingnetworks.com/promo-codes to learn more. I have this like bio. I'm going to read a little bit of it because I don't think it like really caps, like it really gets Pam. Pam Carbonero has spent years running television and film sets as a first AD, working alongside actors and directors and producers, and crews at every level in the industry, every level in there. So in this episode here, Pam shares what actors often miss about life on set and how professionalism can create opportunities long after the audition is over. And then she talks a little bit about why reputation matters just as much as your performance. That's say less, you know what I mean? So in this episode, we also talk about the leadership and creativity and the trap so many actors fall into, waiting for someone else to give them permission to act, permission to move forward. I believe that because I think we got to keep creating our own momentum and just not sit around and wait to be chosen. A lot of these actors out here that she's talking about are building their own skills, creating opportunities, and putting themselves in motion long before the industry says yes. And that's what she did. That's what she did with her LA Directors Lab as well. So we're going to talk all about that as well. And, if you've ever wondered what happens after you book the job, what it really takes to build a career that lasts, or you're an actor who's thinking about being a director, raise your hand, Dewan, raise your hand. I think this episode's for you. This episode's for you. And, all my directors who want to emerging, we don't say aspiring, emerging directors out there that, you're an actor and then you're emerging as a director, you need to know her. You need to know her. And I think this one is definitely for you. So you know the drill. Stick around for the end for the D12 shot where I bring it all together. Hey, Pam. I am so excited. You are really hard to get. Like you are, I mean, you are a hard woman to get on the podcast. I've been wanting to get you on. I mean, since about April. You know what I mean?
For a while.
For a while. And then what's so interesting about you? You send the hey, send me the link. You send it and we're booked in like 48 hours. Like
I was like, this is the time that I have. Let's do it. If it's on my calendar, I listen to it. Like whatever's on my calendar is what I follow.
I mean, yeah. That's because is that AD life? The AD life that you do?
It is the AD life. It's also like I'm not trying to remember all the things and all the people and all the appointments. It's like, let me put it in my calendar. I know when I'm booked. I know when I'm available. And so it's like, cool, this works. This is, it's just easier. It's less thought. But yes, as an AD and somebody who schedules as a profession, it helps.
Yeah. I just was having this moment right now, looking at you, and I was thinking, like, gosh, how we met in a dark room is really. Yeah, it's really interesting how we met in a dark room, and to think that, wow, 2 years later, maybe 2-3 years later, it was in. I would have to say, because Bosch Legacy. That was like the second season of Bosch Legacy, right? I think we saw the premiere. Anyway, something like that. So it has to be a couple years ago. But for you all listening, I met Pam at a screening of a mutual friend, Denise Sanchez, who's on Bosch Legacy, had invited us to the screening inside the theater. And I remember sitting next to you, like a whole bunch of popcorn. And then like, for some reason, I like left for a call for like, and you were like, is this guy coming back? What do you remember about those moments?
Okay. So Denise invited me. I had no idea who was like in the audience. I just was like, okay, I picked up that you guys were all friends. I had no idea that I was literally sitting like with the cast. And so like, I'm just chatting with all of y'all. I think Alex was sitting on the other side of me. And I was just like, I don't know these people because Denise was sitting somewhere else. And I was just like commenting with you guys and chatting. And then, yeah, I remember you like getting up and coming back. And I was like, I don't know who I'm talking to. I could be talking to somebody's uncle. Like, I don't know who I'm
Right.
talking to. Um,
You're
turns out I was talking and hanging out with the whole.
Here's what I'll say. I remember, talking to you then and following you on Instagram and then seeing that you did the LA Directors Lab and just being like, I felt like a calling had been answered. And so I want to tell everybody why don't you tell everybody about what is the LA Directors Lab and why I feel like I found another home, right?
Yeah, I love that. So the LA Directors Lab is, as simply as I can put it, a place for directors to practice their craft. And
Hmm.
an easy way, especially for your audience to understand, is actors get to go to acting class however often they want. They can go to different types of acting classes. You can hire acting coaches. You can do so much prep before you actually get on set, and feel as ready as you possibly can. There is no space like that at all for directors. And something that I think could surprise a lot of people, and it does surprise people when I say it, as somebody that works full time on set, I work as a full time freelancer. I am on set consistently all the time. I don't have any other like jobs, right? I mean, I run the LA Directors Lab, but essentially I'm on set all the time. And so, with that being said, as someone who works full time as a first AD, I work with directors all the time. I've worked with green directors. I've worked with at directors that have been doing it for decades. So it runs the gamut. And with that being said, um, directors are typically the least experienced people on set. And people, I don't think really understand that or realize that. And yet directors are required and expected to completely lead a set. And some directors don't even have the lingo to connect with their team. And many of them don't have an acting background to be able to connect with their actors. And so you have directors who are struggling to do what they want to do because they literally just have not put enough reps in to be efficient at the job. And so the LA Directors Lab was born of that need. And all of us directors are super hungry to put the reps in to get the practice. And it's like, directors can't really practice because A, we need actors, but then a big other side of our job is working with our creative team and our crew. And that's working with your DP, that's working with your heads of departments. And when you don't have the practice in doing that, like, sure, you can get some actors together, but like, a director's vision is like, how are you shooting this? What's your composition? What's the shot? Like, what's the relationship between these characters? Which, of course, the actors are also in collaboration of developing. Um, and so the director's plight is really tough, right? You basically have two options. Once you
Hmm.
graduate film school, if you graduated from film school, which, neither here nor there, you either put in your own money to make your own thing, which many do, and it's a wonderful way to do it, but how often can you do it? If you're putting 30 to $50,000 into your short film, how often are you going to be able to repeat that?
Yeah,
Usually you
yeah.
can do that like once, and then everyone's like, make a feature. And it's like, okay, sure, we can make a feature, but what's the minimum amount we're looking at to do that? How
Oh,
often? Features nowadays take like 5 years just from
yes.
like going into development until the time it's like getting released. So imagine what an independent director who is not a producer, who is not a financier or in distribution, how long it takes to get a feature off the ground. Um, or the other option, right? So one is like you fund your own projects, and the other one is you get hired for the job. Well, how do you get hired for
Yeah.
the job? You got to have a reel, you got to have some work on your belt. And a lot of people are like, what big film festivals have you been, have you shown your projects at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so those are the two options of the director. So where does the director go to practice their craft? It doesn't exist.
Hmm.
And so I created the LA Directors Lab for directors to practice their craft.
I think it's amazing, and we'll talk about like the nuances of it or the intricacy working with actors and writers and others inside of it. But being a part of the LA Directors Lab, honestly, I feel like it is such a loving, supportive, but also like up in that ass, like Like I want to say that it is all of those things, but it is also like it isn't it's supportive. Like you need that fall when you fall on your face, because I've fallen on my face a couple times, but like in a supportive way. People are like, but you can get back up, but you can do this. You know what I mean? And I feel really good about that. And so as an actor emerging as a director, I feel like, wow, how did I get so lucky to find a place that I get to do reps, And I'll say this, I feel so much more confident next year when I'm getting ready to apply to the ABC directors program, because I have,
Yeah.
one, I have all the extra footage that we're talking about, and I just feel a lot more confident in what I'm doing, and I can talk about it a different way.
Yeah.
So, I think support and a little bit of like, push is really good though.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a big piece of it. A big the real heavy lifting of like feeling yourself as a director is being in the heat of
Yeah.
the take, if you will. And when there's very little time remaining and you have to get these shots and you
No.
realize if I don't finish this, I don't have my movie. And then I'm dealing with this issue. And then like this actor is asking me all these questions or wants to change this. Like there's so many things that can come up in that moment. And a director truly can't prepare for it. You have to just experience it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I put you in the hot seat as a director. And it's interesting. It's you're not the first actor, that wants to transition into directing. I've had plenty actors that are like, this is so cool. They took the workshop as an actor and they're like, I've been thinking about directing and I just don't know where to even get my feet wet. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, the wonderful thing that I also was really important to me for the LA Directors Lab is our industry in general, but programs even within the industry, there's such a like heavy barrier to entry.
Hmm.
You have to have just like all the things, and you just have to be bells and whistles to be able to get into these programs. And not to say that that's not warranted, it's just really hard to get in. And
Yeah.
so, like, where else? It's like, cool, should I go back to UCLA Extension? Like, what do I do?
I thought about that before I found your thing. I was like, oh, I gotta go, but like, no, but like, honestly, like, I mean, not to cut you off there, but like, I thought about going to UCLA Extension or somebody else, Los Angeles College Extension or something like that. I thought about that because they had directing programs, but like, I thought about like, great, well, we've already taken classes and we understand the basics of all that stuff. We've done that. I've already been on sets for the last, 20, 30 years. And I was like, I need stuff that's gonna
Do the
application.
thing.
I need application.
Do the fucking thing. And it's funny you say that. In the beginning of all workshops, because people will sometimes be like, oh, I want to take your director's class. And I'm like, this is not a class. I am not teaching you anything. And I'll
Mm.
open my workshops and say, I am not here to teach y'all directing.
Yeah.
I'm here to put you in the director's chair so that you can practice the craft of directing.
Yeah.
And you, within that, you find your voice, you find what works for you, you find your vision, you find who you are as a director, because that stuff only comes up and gets discovered in the act.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to say that, as harsh as it's sounding right now, she's a little bit more supportive than that because I ask her questions all the time.
Oh, I'm so supportive.
Right. Well, you're saying you don't teach it. I understand that. But like, you also those many moments of mentorship you give.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Where
Well,
there's like a little tap on my shoulder
of
and it's like, Dewan,
course,
you're
of
like, and I'm
course.
like, okay, right. I got to remember these things. And it's also very beneficial to have that. And I think one of the things that you added, I don't know if you added it recently, but just, having the directors have a conversation afterwards. So we can still,
Yeah, some postmortem.
yeah, and I think that's important for directors because, yes, it's a lot of learning on in the moment, but like, how are we being received?
Mhm.
How is that? How do we might think, well, hey, I just killed it, and everybody's like, no, honey.
No. Um, well, and let me clarify. I do believe there is a difference between like a class
Yeah.
where I am teaching you like, okay, as a director, we could talk about, theory. We could research other directors. I could teach you, what fucking tilting up and tilting down is and like what's the wide shot. Like that for me is teaching directing in a
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
Um, the language of actors, how to like that's all stuff that I feel like is teaching.
Mm,
I I do exactly what you just said. The word mentor is
Mm.
really where I sit. And I'm there as a guide slash mentor if you need me.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of directors that don't need it at all, and some need it, and some, you know what I mean? Everyone is different. So I'm there by every director's side while they're in the workshop so that there is somebody in that space that they feel safe enough to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this next thing. And I'm there to offer that support to help you say, okay, great. If you want to, so we got this shot, like this is what we can work on.
Yeah.
Like, you're, do you need this? And I kind of just give them a platter of options, and then they can say, okay, actually, I want to do that. But I don't teach in the sense that, like, we're going to sit down and
This
like,
is blocking. This is
yeah, like
blocking.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to show you all
Mhm.
those things. I'm a really, really, really big fan of people learn very fast by doing.
Oof, oof.
And you're going to learn real quick because the mistakes teach us so much faster than somebody giving you the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you sit there, and I'm gonna throw you in the ocean. I'm gonna throw you in the pool in the water. You're gonna swim. And if I see that you're struggling a little bit, I'm gonna give you a floaty. Or I'll take your hand and I'll guide you, but like, you're still swimming on your own. And
Yeah.
I would much rather you make a mistake in the workshop, and that's what it's for. I'd much rather you make a mistake in the workshop than get hired for the job.
Mm.
Go on set, make these mistakes. Your producer, your EP, showrunner, whoever is like, this guy, this director, whoever, they can't handle the job, and then never get called back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
You
where
know,
you're like, damn.
one of the big things is I like to say is like making your day, but we'll talk. We're getting in the weeds on there. But I just want to like, what kind of directors or filmmakers come through the LA Directors Lab? Because there's one thing I can say about this group of directors, and I've done it like two times now, and I'm getting ready to do it a third time. Is the directors are the most supportive people I've ever met. Like I'm in like a bromance with one of them. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, Laura is like, no, there's these people, and so it must be something that you're doing to attract each time. Because I've had different directors, you know what I mean, different DPs, like people who are really trying to get that part. Writers have been different, and all of those people have been really freaking amazing. So I guess I'm like, like who are you? How are you attracting these people? Who comes through?
I'm a big believer of it starts at the top.
Mm,
And I'm a big believer of I've always been a leader ever since I was a little girl. I would be like, in elementary school, and the teacher would be like, "Who wants to?" And I'd be like, "Me." And so I've always loved to lead, and I never forget how hard it was to start, and I never forgot how hard it was to be at the beginning of our industry and our career, and how hungry and excited and scary and blah blah blah. And I love to take care of my people, and I love to lead. I have a very like nurturing mama bear like way about
mm,
myself especially when I'm on set. And in the beginning of these, um, I also didn't really have anybody like taking care of me when I first started. I was very much figuring it out for myself. And so when I see people struggling, I very much go into mentor like coach mode of, okay, how can I help you? How can I assist you? What do you need from me so that I can help you get to this place? And the truth is, like, I don't feel like anybody's in competition with me.
yeah.
I already know where I'm going. I already know I'm going to get there. And I would love my people to be up there with me because I know at the top can be very lonely, at least so I heard. But
Wait, I'm gonna stop you for just a second. I just
yeah,
realized what it is, Pam. Like there is no feeling of competition between those directors and people. I didn't put my finger on it before. Like nobody feels like they're gatekeeping information. Nobody feels like when you just said that, I was like, that's what it is. Like there's people who are like way up there who have directed, who are like on network television shows, shadowing and producing. And then there are people like me who was just like finally getting, I did a short and something else. And I didn't feel a delineation. They were just like, oh, right, Duan, what you want to do next time, that is it,
yeah,
Pam.
yeah. It's
You,
not a competitive thing. We're very much in our own journeys. We're all understanding of that. We're respectful of it, and we're championing each other. We're cheering each other on. I really like there's so much of that. The mentality is like there's enough space for all of us at the top.
Yes. Yes.
Directors also had just have such different like voices and visions that it's like nobody is the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how when we see that when we screen, you see the
Mm.
difference in everyone's vision, even if you have the same script. Like it's really fun to see the creativity and you realize like I'm one of one, you're one of one, like we're all one of one. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I completely strip the competitive nature. When you come into a supportive environment, you're already disarmed of feeling like, am I competing with this person? Who's better? Like, is there like a winner or loser here? It's like, no, man, come in, make some really dope shit, be proud of it, but practice your craft and like come back and keep practicing.
Yeah.
And let's
Yeah.
cheer each other on.
And I love that. There's one other thing I want to just touch on real quick that you also have writers and actors that come through this as well. So, I mean, it is like you make it very known in the beginning. This is the LA Directors Lab. And she'll
Yes.
sit up in front of us and say, director, but you also attract writers and actors. Tell us about that piece. Was that always a piece you had in there? Like to get is it new writers? I don't know. Or is it actors? How did you like, yeah.
Yeah. When I was first coming up with the idea for the director's lab, it was very much like, what do directors do? They direct
Mm,
actors.
yeah.
That is a piece of it, right? I mean, it's a very big piece of it. Nobody else talks to actors about anything on set except the director, right? It's very
Mm,
like a formal thing that happens on set. And so I was like, well, obviously I need actors for this. And
mhm,
then it was like, well, this is for directors to practice, but directors have to practice directing actors. And then I was like, but how is this different from an acting class? And I was
mm,
like, well, the difference is that directors also have to work with DPs and cameras and they actually have to shoot the thing.
mhm.
And so then it became this, well, every there a director really just touches every single aspect of shooting and being
Yes.
set that I was like, okay, I have to bring in all the main players to even make the bare minimum. The main players are the actors, the DP, which was the initial one because I was writing all the scripts, and then it was bringing in the
Mm,
writers, uh, and giving writers these opportunities because on a super random tangent, like writers are being brought in because so many writers have never seen their work get produced and they've never
mhm,
had somebody else take their written work and turn it into something visually, and be on set. A lot of writers don't have on set experience, and that plays a lot of like what's getting written. As an AD that breaks down scripts all the time, there's so much stuff that gets written that's unrealistic to shoot, and it's like we got to change this. But if you're a
yeah.
writer that has experience working on set and understanding how these things happen and how they get shot, then that would change. Understanding what you're writing for. Are you writing for independent films? Are you writing for a short? Are you writing for TV? Are you writing for a feature? What's the budget? Like what tier are we in? It all depends. But um anyway, so I bring writers in to gain those experience, and the writers run the gamut, actors run the gamut, directors run the gamut. I have, like you said, from the new director who's just directed like a short film to DGA directors that have already
Yeah.
directed
Yeah.
for television and many that are shadowing episodic directors. Um,
Yeah.
and many that have even shot their own features already.
Yeah. So one of the things that the podcast listeners are out there are, actors who are hyphenates and stuff like that, directors or writers and so forth. This is small another tangent. In your group, if my actors wanted to be a part of the LA Directors Lab, like what would be their role? What are you looking for in an actor? Because, like what's their thing? What are you looking for? Listen, you can't have me. I'm going as a director now. Right?
Bummer. Bummer. So here's the really cool thing,
Mhm.
because the actor's plight is also very tough, right? Actors have
I
to.
mean, are you worried about everybody? Like
I'm
you
worried
got,
about everybody. I care about everybody.
it's like you got them all in there. You're like, I'm taking care of everybody.
Take
Mama
care of
Pam.
everybody. Because actors, this everyone is probably more aware of the actor's plight than probably any other position because it's just so prominent in our industry, right? You're submitting endlessly, you're hoping for the callback, you're hoping to book, you're hoping to whatever, all the things, right? But it's always like, hopefully they pick me, hopefully they pick me.
Mhm, mhm,
And what I do with the LA Directors Lab is there is no auditioning, there is no barrier to entry. If you want to take the LA Directors Lab right now, you can literally go click on a link and sign up and you're in. That's it. Um, and I've had people in the past be like, "Well, I'm SAG, I'm a working actor. What if I get paired with an actor that's not at my experience level?" And I'm like, "Cool. Have you ever had a job where somebody's not at your experience level? Because I see it
Yeah.
all the time
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
set. You just see the difference. And sure, is casting really important? Absolutely. And I take a lot of responsibility and ownership and pride in making sure I cast appropriately in these workshops. So that actors can get something really valuable, which is a very like great looking reel. But on top of all of that, a lot of actors are really trying to like, you know, do the dance for casting directors, which is totally, part of the game. But when a director knows you and a director wants you in their project, you pass the casting process.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just jump over. And so this is an opportunity in one workshop, an actor can meet 6 directors,
Yeah.
potentially 7, including myself, right? And so now you get to show and flex and show what you got to 6 fucking directors in one day.
Yeah.
And they get to see how you work, and you get to see how they work. You get to see how they direct. You get to see, like, they get to see you. And that I think is really, really, really powerful because I've already seen so many projects spun out of the LA Directors Lab because directors were like, "Oh my God, that actor is phenomenal. I want to cast you." And they have been writing projects for
With
these
you on.
actors
Yeah.
because they saw them at the LA Directors Lab. They saw their scenes, they saw their work, they met them, their personality. And this is such a huge difference also because it's like we could go to a networking event or just an event in general, and somebody's like, "Oh my God, I'm an actor." Like the truth is, as a director and somebody that casts, I'm like, that doesn't really mean anything to me. Sure, I can see you like physically,
Yeah. Yeah.
but until I see like you auditioning or in the role, I don't know what kind of actor you are. And we can, all of us that, work on set can attest, like, meeting somebody outside of work or on set and then meeting somebody under the stress and pressure of shooting are
Yeah.
two totally different things. I want to see how you are under stress. I want to see how you work under pressure. I want to see how you are collaboratively. I want to see your attitude, how easy it is to work with you. There's so many aspects to collaborating, and you get to see all of that in the workshops. And then you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, this person is so amazing. I want to work with them." And then all these directors are making projects and they're casting all the actors from these workshops. And so it becomes such a bigger thing than just signing up as an actor to get something for your reel.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that I was just thinking about now is like footage. Like we all, when I was starting out as an actor, like I needed footage or I need to go like audition for these short films or I need to go audition for these student films or I needed to go, or more, or I could say like when I was more established and I wanted to do different things as an actor, like sci-fi or something like that. So if you have a sci-fi, you have stunts, you have romantic comedies, or medical dramas. Like you have all of these things that actors can be in, and I think that is really cool because if not, then actors are out there paying $3,000 to get these scenes done. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
To go get somebody.
Yeah. Going to these places where they're like, "Oh, we'll shoot your reel."
Right.
And I don't know the full extent to how those particularly work, but I know it's one person behind the camera that's
Mhm.
directing every single person. And for this, it's like actors have to also practice working with directors. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
you're going to be that actor. You have to be the actor that has to be able to interpret the director who doesn't know how to articulate themselves. You have to be the actor that works with the director who's a little more rigid. You have to be the actor who can work with the director that's extremely collaborative, right?
Mhm.
Because you're going to run
Yeah.
the gamut with all the directors. And
Right.
so working with just one person or getting comfortable with your acting coach is not the same
Not the
as
same.
getting experience and practice with different directors of being like, "Okay, maybe there was a little friction." And it's like, "Great, that is going to be real life. What are you going to do in that case? How are you going to figure it out?" Um, and everybody, whether it's actors, directors, producers, everybody can get pinned as the difficult person to work with. When the truth is, we can all get frustrated on set. Communication can be really shitty. And I think that's something I also talk to the directors of, like, you have to learn how to articulate your vision and say the thing as concisely as possible because, again, actors are not fucking stupid. You
Mhm.
don't have to go on and on and on about the note. Just
Mm.
tell them what you want, keep it concise and keep it moving because the actors don't need you to over explain anything. Like this is what they do.
Yeah. I'll out myself here, you all. Like, this is one of the things that I'm working on. Like, seriously, and that Pam had talked to me
Not myself.
about myself. Well, it's because I think it's important. It's my podcast, and I love like being honest about it. Is that I can fall into the trap of over explaining, or even worse, or not worse. There's no better or worse here, but even more so, I would say going up to the actor and showing them what I want. And Pam has tapped me on my shoulder, was like, "Dewan, you need to learn how to do that without." And I was like, Okay." But it's important. And I want to just say this: what I take away from that is I have always thought that I would be a actor's director, Pam. And what
Hmm.
I've realized, because everybody's like, "Oh, he's an actor's director." What I realize is these are two different hats, everybody. And I even might want to go back and learn how to work with actors. Right? Does
Mm,
that make sense? As a director that
yes.
works with actors. Because as an actor, I was like maybe over and explaining. You just do all this stuff, and they don't need that, right? Like I have to flip that switch, and so I never thought about it till you tapped me on the shoulder and said that I might need to learn how to work with actors. I'm like, but I'm an actor. I'm really awesome. Like at it, that doesn't mean they all go together. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Right. It's
Yeah.
a
Oh,
different.
you knew that? Look at her. Everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube, she has this all-knowing smile. Like, good, you're learning, Dewan.
Good, good, good.
I know.
My job here is done.
My job here is done.
I'm the director whisperer.
That's so funny watching you. You knew that though, didn't you? I mean, because like you probably have seen so many directors come through and do, or yourself, like you can work. I mean, work as an actor, but that it's just a different beast, and everybody thinks it's not. It is.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've worked with hundreds of directors. And like I said, it's a safe space in the director's workshop, right? And it's really important for me to make sure that those things are landing for you all as directors in a capacity that you're able to take it in and not be like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling criticized or judged or whatever. It's just more
Oh,
like, hey, try this thing next time. Stay behind the monitor and see if, unless you're going to like whisper a note to them or something. But I just remember you were doing like physicality
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
like like
yeah,
like
yeah.
physically showing them, and it's like let's see how much we can like use our communication and our words to do that so that they can. And again, one thing that I have to balance is every director is different. Everybody does
Hmm.
do things differently. And so it's more of this like general baseline, if you will. And then every director kind of does their own thing. Some directors really like to get up every single time and talk to the directors right into their ear or directly in front. But if it's super simple stuff like take a step to your left,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
say take a step to your left, you don't have to go move them to their left because then we're talking about like now you're not being really efficient with your time today. And that's part of what's in my brain too is like how are we going to be fast and efficient and make our day because that is part of the director's job as well.
Oh my God! Remember when I said downstage? Take a step downstage. You're like, what
I
stage?
was like, not on a play. This is film, baby.
I know it sounds, I want to be clear to everybody, there's a rapport here, but like very clear, this is all supportive. And I never, I can talk about this way because I don't feel judged, right? I don't feel,
Yeah.
and I don't feel it anyway. I want to make sure that we put that out there. But I guess a big thing I want to ask you is how do you start to see a director who's ready to lead, versus someone who's trying to really take command of their set? Because I think personally, I'm learning to take command of a set.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm there yet, and I'll just be completely honest. Like I'm still a little bit of like, okay, no, you don't want to do it. All right, let's do it. And so I guess like, when am I going to get? No, nothing.
It's gonna be my turn.
No, but how do you see that, or how do you spot a director who's ready for that?
Oh man. Um, I mean, look, my opinion is just one, right? And this
Yeah,
stuff is so subjective. I do think it is within the director's purview of whether they feel ready or not. And I'm a big fan of jump before you're ready.
yeah.
And in the process, you get ready. But in terms of that question specifically, I think, man, that's a really good question.
I'll just say that like while you're thinking about that, one of the things that I think about still learning is like I just like you learn as when I went and learned directing, like the blocking and making your day and all that stuff. Like, but we hear about like you're everybody's touch point. Everybody's gonna be asking you questions and all that stuff. But but I think the thing is, how do you say this? Communication or interpersonal relationships with everybody is the part about it's commanding a set that way so you don't blow up and
Yeah.
just tell everybody to like, just do what I say. It's how do I communicate with the person who is a script supervisor who's been passed over as a director and is upset that they're not going to direct. You know what I mean? And so how do I relate to this person who's giving me attitude or how do I relate to this DP who, and so I think commanding a set to me is almost it's vague. It's a vague thing. Like, what does that mean almost,
Right. Yeah.
Especially,
Well,
especially as a visitor, because like you said, most directors have the least amount of time on set, and they're usually dropping into shows. So I'm like, as a visitor in your home, how do I
mhm.
also command command your home? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. All of you that have been living here for so long, and I'm just here for a day telling you like
Tell you
live
what
life.
to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. I mean, at that point, we really started going into personality. I actually talk a
Yeah,
lot about emotional intelligence, right?
yeah,
There's a level of not only, I mean, we can just talk about maturity, but I think it's so much more than that. And emotionally intelligent people, creators, directors understand that like you said, the interpersonal relationship between people and understanding how to read a room,
yeah,
understanding not to take everything so personally, and understanding that some tones, like what's the feeling behind the tone that may be coming at you, and trying to understand the other person.
yeah,
What I've kind of a skill that I've developed over the years that was very unexpected, but is now just such a big thing, is I feel like I've become a translator, and that translator is all kinds of things, right?
yeah,
I've learned how to translate undertones. I've learned how to translate what, let's say, a director is saying versus the DP, or even the director and the actor. Or if I'm directing and I'm saying something and I'm looking at the actor's face and I'm like, cool, I'm not being clear enough. It's all these small little like tiny things and details that I think somebody has to be hyper aware enough to understand what's going on.
yeah,
And then I think there's this level of openness, collaboration, friendliness, um, of, hey, what you have to say matters to me and it's important to me, and I'm going to take it in. And I'm also going to lead. And being a leader is so much of listening to those that you surround yourself with and respecting them. And when they feel respected, they're like, they respect you as their leader.
mm,
And so a lot of this is just more, I think, honestly, just like emotional intelligence. It's such a big, big, big topic that goes super
yeah.
deep that we just definitely cannot dive
No, no,
into.
no, that's it.
But that's more of what it is for me. And then just like on a more of a surface level as a director, in terms of just knowledge of, once you feel like you really understand that what your vision is and how to articulate your vision, it's going to be a lot easier to communicate all the things that you need to do. But I
Yeah,
know it could be as simple as, I've heard where there's a director that walks on a show and it's their first time meeting the crew and the cast, and let's say they're on, I don't know, 3 4 seasons in, so they're already a family, and you walk in and you just go run the show, versus you come in and you introduce yourself to every
yes,
single person. Hi, it's so nice to work with you, I'm excited for this episode. And you literally give them like eye contact of them being like, cool, this director acknowledges me, they see me, and like they seem like a cool person, like let's work together. Versus like, you just walk in there, you don't even take the time to say hi to people. It's like, we've been here for a mad minute and you just came in here and you can't even say hi. It's like the little things like that that have nothing to do with whether you're a good director or not. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's just being a human. And I think a lot of that is missing in our industry. And I think that's why so many people are shocked about how much the LA Directors Lab feels like such a safe space and like a family, is because I run it completely opposite of that.
Yeah. Two things I want to say. As an actor, again, emerging as a director, I think that it's okay where I am in my career right now about power or leading. Like, I feel better about it. But as an actor coming in, you don't feel like you have a lot of power, right? Like on in the world. And so, it's easy to, as you put on a different hat, maybe still carry some of that residual stuff. You know what I mean? And
Ooh, yeah.
right, do you know what I mean? It's like so. It's like again. It's relearning. Like I was just saying, as an actor, everybody would think, oh, you're a director. It makes sense. But you're literally putting on something totally different, a different hat. And so I've just been when you were saying that, I was like, that might be some of it, that I'm unpacking. And the second thing is I want to say like so supportive in that your lab, I have so many dreams for you. I want you to have a teaching track. I want you to have like I just like it just is so much because it's so wonderful because my first experience out of the gate was like at the lab was wonderful, but there was like oh my gosh, I'm stressed about even saying it to everybody. I almost didn't make my day, and when you almost don't make your day, like, and I had to like abort some shots and stuff like that, and
I just want to say you didn't almost make your day for things that were completely out of your control.
yeah, yeah, but as Pam would say in my ear, this might happen on set, right? This might happen like so. I understand all of that stuff, but what I was gonna say to it is just that a lesser person might have just like crashed and burned and been out of here. But I was like, nah, take my money, sign me up for another one because I'm getting this right. Like, and I want to
Oh,
learn it.
truly.
Yeah. I said it. I was like, can you just have my credit card on file? Because it was such a beautiful learning experience. And I want to just keep saying that every one of the experiences I've had with you, Pam, have been, had their own thing, but I'm on set a lot as an actor. And I
Yeah.
see the things that come up for these directors when they have, let's say, $30,000 on the line, where they're making real like 50 grand for this episode, and they're gonna make money, keep continuing, and I see it come up. And I see actors push back, and I see things, crew, it's just like, not on time. And you're like, I can't move because of the lights. And so I just want to continue to say over and over again, I'll never say this in public again, but like what you're doing is so amazing for writers, for directors, for actors. Like, you're really, really, really putting a stamp on people's life. And I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to go on and continue to work with ABC or CBS, all these people that I'm touching in my acting life because I feel confident after working with you. So I wanted to make sure I said that. I don't know why that tangent came up. Well, it's really important. I was thinking all the stuff you were saying about as an actor, I'm sorry, as a director who learns how to lead. You know what I mean? Or how do I get that? And that was to me, it was like that's a great question because I see how does anybody find their leadership legs? You know, and to have emotional EQ to even process that stuff and not say everything is against me. This directing thing is not for me, but I have to process it and say, this is what you came for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
No.
not once did I was embarrassed to show it, like at first, but everybody was like, "What?" I was like,
Wait, embarrassed to show what?
no, because I didn't know how it was gonna look when I was like, so my first time I did it with you guys, because we what you
Ah,
all what I forgot to say is not only do you fail out loud like at the in the workshop, but Pam also like goes to the next level and you have to not have to, you get to screen it in front of an audience at a theater. And like so my first work, usually people's first work goes in a corner and dies. But not with Pam.
yeah. You're gonna show it to everybody.
But nobody, like everybody, like it was like I know there were a lot of things that I could work on, but everybody was just so like, Dwan, you did it. And everybody who knew what I went through was like, look, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah. There were
Yeah.
people there. Everybody was watching, right? Because directors get to watch each other. In the workshop,
Dude.
you get to watch everybody and shoot their own stuff.
Yeah.
So and you were last, I think, right? Was
Yeah.
yours the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
one?
The first day,
Um,
for some.
it was hot as shit in that
So hot.
every location you have to turn off the AC, so it just gets hot, and that's just unfortunately the way it goes. But it was incredibly hot, and everybody was watching what was going on,
Yeah.
and it was tough. It was like, great,
Yeah.
we're in the situation that's out of everyone's control.
Yep.
And the reason that I do this screening is like exactly what you said, right? A lot of people shoot stuff, a lot of people don't get into film festivals, and then you don't get to see your work. I cannot begin to tell you how many directors did not feel good in all the workshops, right? Because I screen in every workshop. In multiple workshops after the screening, directors will come up to me and they're like, look, I didn't feel very good about what I directed. I didn't feel like I got my shots. I didn't feel like I had enough time to XYZ. I just, I didn't feel good about it. But then we screened and everyone's laughing.
Yeah.
Everyone is giving me the reactions and the response, and you hear the audience literally responding to your work, and it snaps you out of it because
Yeah.
everybody has these thoughts of like, I didn't do a good job. I'm not good. Am I good? Am I good? Am I good? Everybody, all creatives go through that. But then you're in a theater and people are watching your work and you're getting these reactions that you're like, this is you're like editing and you're like, this is not fucking funny. And then the audience is roaring
Yeah.
at your scene. And even at the last workshops, a couple of directors were like, I had I don't know what they were seeing because and I'm like, this is you're learning like what you think is good and what actual people think is good, and you learn how to figure out how to bridge that gap. Um, but finishing is also a director's plight. Like there are so many things that we start, and a lot of things, a lot of projects that we create die in post. And that's why
Yeah.
actors are dying to get footage because it takes forever for actors to get footage of anything at any level because A, the post-production process takes so long. And B, some things just never get released.
Yeah.
And then C, the producer has to like send you the thing so that you can actually put it on your reel and has to blah 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 blah. Right? Like it's a whole, I feel like that's a part of the actor's plight that I feel so sorry for.
Yeah.
In the LA Directors Lab, directors have 7 days to turn around their scenes and we screen them. And then they have like 2 more weeks to tighten it up and then it goes straight to the actors. So within a month of taking this workshop, actors have footage for their reel. And it is like professionally shot, it's DPs are coming in and we have a whole mini crew doing the whole thing. So like you're on a real set shooting this thing, even though we call it a scene. A lot of people, it turns into these like mini short films that are like 5 minutes long. Um, but anyway, all to say,
Mhm.
I go from beginning to end because it's such an important process for directors. And it's really, and actors get to benefit from all of that, like working with all the directors and meeting directors and then like getting your footage for your reel very, very fast. And then just being on set. The first workshop that you took, we had an actress, it was her very first time ever on set. And
Yeah.
she became your actress for the next workshop. And now she's
And
booking like crazy.
one of the things is, and we've been back and forth, and you know, I said to her, and this is why I said to her as we were walking out, I know this is one of your newer projects. I said, but do not give up. You're really, really good at it. And that's coming from a person who's directing, but also an actor working with it. And she was like, oh, and then she starts booking. And I was like, I wasn't BSing you. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Use this stuff. And like, because she was so just wonderful. And sometimes I like you, I love to speak life into people. Like I love to make sure they know or remember it, stuff like that. And she's just
Yeah.
like phenomenal. But
Oh,
here's what I'll say. As a person, this is the great moment actors that we're thinking about. As a director out there who hopes to will direct more stuff and an actor working with stuff, she's in my catalog. She's in my
yes.
Rolodex now. Like there is somebody. So if I'm thinking like literally, I'm like, ooh, I need this, this, and this. That's how people get there. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
That's
That
why
is
this is
exactly
so
it.
much more, this is so much more potent than
Yeah.
just taking a workshop.
Yeah.
Like working with people who literally have the power to cast you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
literally build projects around you. And now there's so many actors that I have seen through these workshops that I haven't had the opportunity to direct. But because I see every actor come through the doors of this workshop, there are so many now that I'm like, I cannot wait to cast them in something that I'm doing. And I'm going to be making huge fucking movies. I'm going to be an episodic director. Like there are going to be days where I'm going to call that person and be like, I'm hiring you to be on this thing that I'm directing. And like, you won't have to fucking go through casting and do like, I am almost cutting out the middleman of connecting actors to the people who are actually going to be calling them in and casting them and hiring them for the job.
Yeah, it's so interesting because the podcast a couple podcasts ago, I did a talk or I was talking about verticals
Mm,
and the vertical short format. And I think what's really interesting about verticals or Tubi and all that stuff like that is you can go direct to audience, right?
Mhm.
And so when I'm just was hearing you, this stuff that people are making whatever we think about the medium, right? We can think whatever we want
Yeah.
about it, but when Fox and Disney and Telemundo and everybody put like millions of dollars behind them, now it's all of a sudden to be like, and
Oh yeah.
so
You can't
what
ignore
we're
it.
but you can ignore it, but
I mean,
I
you
was just
can, but
thinking
like you're gonna miss out for
you're gonna
sure.
miss out. It's kind of like if you know about a decade or two ago when we all turned our eyes at streaming. We're like, nobody's gonna be watching those web series and stuff like that, and now it
Yeah.
literally is the the thing. And so that was a weird tangent that I was thinking. Like, if you want to do something like this, like you can start your own, you can get straight to your audience by taking a director's lab and now making content that goes direct to them. I mean, the world is their oyster when they're working with you, Pam. You know what I mean? Pam,
Truly.
I just got a couple more questions for you. I want to just like, something I didn't think about asking is just like, how can directors find you? Like if they want to be a part of this amazing thing, like what, like how, like do they just like, because I found you by accident, because I'm gonna be clear, like you didn't tell me that this is what you did. You were just like, I'm Pam and I had the thing and I started following you and this thing popped up and I was like, hey, remember me? Get me in. But it was really great. And I put money up. I couldn't even do the first one. I couldn't do the real
That's
first one. I
right.
couldn't do the first one because you know what, you all? I couldn't do the first one that Pam I signed up for or something, and then because I was shooting on set, and this woman here, now that I think about it, called me, messaged me for the next one. It's like, you ready? You in? And the thing that I think more than anything is be careful what dream you tell of yours to Pam because she now
I'm gonna
she's
hold you to it.
now she feels responsible for your dream as well because she was like, you said that you wanted to direct.
So here we are. I have this opportunity for you.
And wow, thank you for pushing. I want to pushing, but inviting and coming back around because I might have found every excuse not to, but it was like, you already gave me your $500 to one.
Well, yeah, so you had paid for the original one and then you couldn't do it. And I remember saying, I don't remember if it was you or me, but I was like, hey, I can hold this for the next workshop, or I can give you
Oh
a
yeah,
full refund, whatever you want. And you were like, hold
hold
it
it.
so
Yeah.
that I can, then the next workshop comes. And I remember I was like, hey, you want to come and direct? And you were like, I don't know if I'm ready. And I was like, I think you are.
I'm gonna edit this part out. I'm editing this part out.
You better keep it. And I was like, I think you're ready.
Yes,
Because
yes.
you have to jump before you're ready. You're never going to feel ready, especially if you're not doing the damn thing. So I was like,
Yeah.
come on in. And again, like, yes, it was your first time. Not, and I don't even know, we've had some issues in workshops where like the camera overheated
Yeah.
and, that director literally just couldn't direct for a while until we got the camera back up and running. And like, they weren't penalized for it because it was completely out of their control. But there was there's always some things that happen, but like it's very rare that happens. And yours was one of the times that something happened that was like, oh shit, we could not have foreseen this. We
Yeah.
we couldn't have, expedited it or change, fixed it in that moment, right? We did what we could, and it was just like, all right, we got to finish this thing. Um, and so I do commend you on being able to go through that experience as your first one and understand like, okay, you didn't get everything that you wanted to get that day. And like even as a director, I felt that. I was like, man,
Mm.
I was just like, and you said it, like so many people could have and would have handled that totally different. And the whole time you were like, it's okay. It's okay. We're good. We're good. We can do this. We're going to finish it. We're going to get it. And I was like, look, I got to respect it because you were probably shaking inside and
Yes.
I couldn't tell because you kept this super positive demeanor about it. And there are a lot of directors that probably don't have don't feel they failed right at their scene or whatever, and are maybe like, I don't know if I'm feeling good enough to come back. And like you came back like you were like, here's my card. Take my money.
Well, I just want to point out to everybody and that energy matters.
Yeah.
And we cannot forget that when we're on a set, like you said at the beginning of this podcast, is that top down. right?
Mhm.
And so if I'm the director leading this, and whether it's faux energy I'm trying to input in
Right.
there, or whether whatever's going on, I understand that if I bring it down, the entire set brings it down. And so for me, it was like I didn't want to. I didn't want to bring everybody else down because we were the last ones. People have been working all day. I understand what a Fraturday is. You know what I mean? Like we're moving into that. And so it's like, great, we're going to get through this. And in my head, I'm trying to figure out what can I cut? What can I move? What can I do? So I don't want to just, I don't want to say this out loud, but maybe I do know how to lead a set. Like, I don't.
I was just gonna say that's a powerful part of being a leader is showing like guiding the way of how we should be feeling about the situation.
Yeah.
If you're there as a director or the leader and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? Then
Yes.
it's
Yes.
despair. The despair just bleeds out into everybody. And now
Exactly.
everyone's like, what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is really important to keep a cool head while there's fires literally around you, not literally,
Yeah.
but fires around you, figuratively, and just understanding that you got to keep it moving. That is filmmaking through and through.
Yeah.
Anyone who has done it enough times knows that there is not one thing you shoot without fires going off, and people are just figuring out how to get it done and still keep it moving.
I love that. Pam, how do people find you? How do they find you? Tell me,
Okay,
how do they
so
find you? How do
they can find me at I mean Instagram is probably the most prominent place.
Mhm.
You can find the LA Directors Lab on Instagram, and in the link in bio you can sign up for our email list, and that's where I always announce all workshops first before I share them on social media, because sometimes workshops sell out so fast that I don't even have time to put them on social media because they sold out through the email list. So and then they can find my personal Instagram at Latina Director. And people are like, how did you get that Instagram handle? And I'm like, I got it in 2021, and it just comes to show how few of us there are.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
crazy.
I want to say, and when she says get on the email list, she means it, and she doesn't play favorites, even though I'm upset about that. I don't understand why she doesn't play favorites and say, you've already spent money with me. You can go first. Nope, she sends it out to her whole email list, and we have to run and scavenge and like help each other. So it's
Well,
really like a,
no. I do give folks that have taken workshops previously a heads up, because if you're,
they do give a heads up.
we have a WhatsApp chat, and that
That's
chat
right. That's right.
pops off like crazy. But we have a
I've
WhatsApp chat.
silenced it. I've
Yeah,
silenced.
most people have, which is fair, totally fair. If you're like a super chatterbug, it's really fun. But in the chat, I give a heads up. I tell
Yes, you
people
do.
emails coming out. This is
That's
what's
true.
happening. And
Yep.
so if you taken a workshop, you get invited into that WhatsApp chat, and that's
Okay.
what LA Directors Lab family is. And we do a lot of things collectively within the community in that chat.
Mm.
But outside of that, yeah, you gotta wait for the email.
Everybody, Pam, I say thank you from every actor out there who is, trying to be a hyphenate or working to be a hyphenate. Every director that, like myself, that is getting so much, just so much goodness. And I may or may not, it depends how the next one goes, put you in my Oscar speech. We'll see. Like when that.
You're like the third one.
Right, for that. And so big thank you. One of the things that I didn't get to ask you, and I want to make sure I ask before we go, what do you see as the future, or where this is going, the LA Directors Lab is going?
Woo! Okay, so the future of the LA Directors Lab is probably the next big step is the LA Directors Lab needs to find a home. And what that home looks like is very similar to a studio. And so we're gonna have, our own little studio space to be able to run these workshops on a monthly basis, where people can basically at any point that a director or an actor, if a director wants to practice their craft or an actor wants some extra footage for the reel, at any point in any month, they can just go sign up for a workshop. I do eventually want to expand this into other cities, New York, Atlanta, Austin. And then I've even had people that are like, hey, can you bring this out to London? Can you bring this to South America? And so I want to expand it into more spaces. Some people have asked me about things like, okay, do you plan on franchising? I don't know yet, but I'm open, and we absolutely are going to expand and scale, and whatever that looks like, but it is going to be an organic process. But more importantly, I want this to be able to eventually feed into like funding filmmakers, right? So then I can take this and like fund your short film that's a proof of concept for your feature. And then eventually I'm launching a production company that's going to work in tandem with the LA Directors Lab where we can produce feature films. And then we start like creating, pilots or shows or things that we can, connect with either networks and other studios to be able to sell and produce, and then eventually become our own little mini studio where we're producing all of our own content. And I say content, and I know that that's such a like sticky word. Of course, I also mean like not just content, but film and
Projects.
projects and shows and all the things. And then, basically become an empire.
Yeah, that I wonder if I'm putting in the in the suggestion box.
Yes.
In the suggestion box. Like I wonder if there's any room for a quarterly teaching part of it. You know what I mean? A quarterly part of it where, because this is all about where directors get their feet wet, but, directors don't also know where to go for, the language or the cinematic language or,
Yeah.
how to talk about blocking and stuff like that. So if there is some type of quarterly training on that, I think it would just be the chef's kiss to make your thing the thing. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, I'm just saying.
I'm putting in the
Suggestion box.
thank you, suggestion box. Thank you. I do eventually want to, the workshops will eventually spin off into level 1, level 2, level 3,
Mhm.
and to where the person who's never directed anything in their life can take, level 1 or, whatever that looks like. And then I do want to give something out, whether it's even just something like a PDF or whatever, or a video where you can just watch this thing of, okay, these are the basics of, working on set that you can like review before taking a workshop.
Mhm.
But yes, I love that idea of, oh, if you're a new director, take the next quarterly, XYZ of
Mm.
the pre-directing, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
Uh,
it's important.
but yeah, no, I love that. There's so much in the works. I have so many ideas for so many things. I'm like excited to dive into it. 2026 is going to be a pretty big explosive year for the LA Directors Lab.
Ooh, thank you so much for coming on, Pam. I appreciate
Yeah, thank you.
I told you. I already told you that Pam was going to be a good listen. I really, really did. And I'm just going to bring it together with a couple of thoughts for this D12 shot, because there was something that Pam said that just kept bouncing around in my head after we stopped recording. And it wasn't about the directing. It wasn't about the lab, which is amazing. I guess it wasn't even about the industry. What it was about was this idea that somewhere along the way, we start believing our entire career is waiting for someone to choose us, an agent to choose us, a casting director, a manager, producer, somebody, anybody. Please come validate us and give us a career. That one kind of hurt. That one kind of hurt for me too. Listen, I get it. Because this business is built on being chosen. Well, I mean, I guess we think it is. You need a yes for that audition, a yes to get the meeting with the agent, and somebody has to say yes to you before you even set foot on a set. And I've heard it so many times from all of you. If I could just get to set, I can show them what I'm made of. I just want to throw my hat in the ring. Somewhere along the way, if we're not careful, we start giving all of our power away. All of it. We start sitting around waiting for permission to create, to learn something new, to make the thing. I see this all the time. I'll start directing after I book a series. Once things settle down, the industry figures itself out. Once. When is that once? If not now, then when? Like 15 years go by and we're still waiting. And I think one of the things I love about doing this podcast is seeing how many working people in this business stopped waiting. That's one of those Pam. They stopped waiting. And Pam didn't have this magical moment where Hollywood showed up and handed her a map or anything like that. She just started moving, directing, producing. And we see people out there acting and creating their own stuff and writing their own stuff. Not because they knew it would work, because they were tired of sitting still. And I was talking a little bit earlier about the Issa Rae screen time vertical, by the way, that had 25 million views in 24 hours. Get out of here. It's already over 100 million views. And so when I think about Issa Rae, a lot, she comes up in conversations a lot. A lot of actors like, I want to do what Issa Rae does. We talked about that stuff. No one handed Issa Rae a roadmap. That vertical content wasn't the obvious thing to do. Awkward Black Girl becoming insecure wasn't a guarantee on that outcome when she started. She couldn't have, known exactly how it was going to work out. She just made the thing because Hollywood wasn't responding. And I know everyone wants Issa Rae what she has, but nobody wants to put in the Issa Rae work. And I think that's the lesson for me. Over and over again. Maybe we've had it backwards this whole time, spending our entire career to wait to be chosen, when the move might have always been to do it ourselves. I get it. Everybody, I hear it all the time in my actors. But I don't want to do it myself. I don't want to. You just want to be validated with a CSI credit or an NCIS credit. You want to be validated so the people back up. Get out of here with that. When the opportunity comes, we are already in motion. That is important. I say this all the time inside my membership. People want to get on a moving train, not a train that's at a station. What are you doing to move your train? Or are you happy sitting at the station? And I want to be clear. I understand that auditions matter, relationships matter, networking matter. This business runs on both of them, all of that stuff. I'm not pretending otherwise. I'm just saying your entire career can't depend on somebody else's yes. It just can't. Because there are going to be seasons where those yeses are hard to find. And I'm not saying that from theory. I'm saying that, as somebody who has lived both sides of this career, the seasons where everything is moving, just last year is going, I'm working. I'm on set every, no less than once a month last year, right? And then the seasons where you wonder if anybody remembers your name. DeJuan Johnson, preferred, recognizable name preferred. Wow. If that's what you built your career on, those seasons can break you. Gosh, they can break you. So I just want to say, write the thing. Take the directing class, shoot a short or something like that. Learn a skill. Go out there and make yourself do something for you. Do it for you. I just think getting to work is so important. And thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Thank you for reminding me of this again and again and again. That we don't have to wait to be chosen, even if we're trying to get into those directing programs, even if we're trying to get into, a workshop, whatever it is, we don't have to wait. Okay, everybody. I've said my piece. It's time to go watch Game of Thrones. But before I go, don't quit. Don't get out of line. I want you to borrow my faith in you. And above all else, hold the vision, not the circumstance. I love you so big. All of you. Oh, I love doing this pod. All right. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Every other week, I see you in a couple weeks with the next podcast. I got a good one. Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle star. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be up on the pod. Just can't wait to talk to you. Chat soon.